Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Daybreak Africa, reaching you live on television Nigeria in our Guzope Hilltop Studios at Socorro Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning, Aisha, and I am Quest. This is a beautiful Wednesday morning, and we're sure we have a lot of packages for you on Daybreak this morning to kick your day started. We have infotainment, entertainment, information, and politics to keep you on the go.
Speaking of topical issues in the polity,
yes.
I couldn't help but notice today is World Food Day.
Yes, I think after the program, our producer should do something about food.
Definitely.
We need to eat food.
I'm a foodie. I'm a helpless foodie, so we need to do something about that.
Yes.
And then moving on to more important issues. Yesterday, the president sought approval for 10 billion naira, over 10 billion to Kogi State as a refund. And that has, I think it has raised a lot of eyebrows in the polity. A lot of people are asking questions. Why is the president seeking approval for that fund now? Especially looking at the fact that Kogi elections are coming.
Closed. I think the issue is beyond the 10 million naira or billion naira, the timing of when he's seeking for approval for that fund is a cause for concern.
Yes.
And many people are of the opinion that this could be a ploy to help the Kogi governor prepare for elections.
And probably win the election.
Yes, and elections are closed. So I think it might be a good call, but the timing of the call, knowing that Kogi is about to go into an election, one, Kogi is an APC state,
Definitely.
and then Kogi is too close to an election.
And then this refund is coming just moments after the Minister for Works,
yes.
Fashila, has come out to say no state governor should repair federal government
yes.
roads. If you're going to have to ask for a refund, because they've noticed that most of the state governors come out, they hike the whole amount they spend. So he came out to say, he said, according to the president, that if you're not going to repair the road from your own money, the state's money,
then
leave it.
And let the federal government do it.
So now that the president is refunding, I know this project, it's not something that he did now.
Yes.
It was something about some years ago. So he's giving this governor the money now.
Okay, but let's also be clear that is it a refund for job done? If it's a refund for job done, let us see the jobs. But that is number one. The other issue on this table is the fact that the other governors who have used their state resources to fix government roads, will they also be given a refund? And if they won't be given a refund, if they will be given a refund, why is the Kogi refund coming first? Coming at this time.
So they were just
why just
few
him?
Weeks to the election.
Why are we starting with Kogi? Why is it just Kogi now? If there was a refund, why not start with 2-3 states? And probably for transparency's sake.
And of course, opposition party would always come
jump
out
at
to
these
say,
opportunities.
this is the president fueling corruption. And a lot of groups in Kogi State have actually come out to lend their voice to this.
Not just in Kogi, groups across the country are coming out to say that we feel or we suspect that there's a ploy of the president or the federal government to throw in their federal might using the apparatus of law or the apparatus of the executive to sponsor or help the Kogi.
I must say, 10 billion is a huge sum.
It's a huge sum, considering also that Kogi is in a transition. Kogi is moving, yes. So what if the Kogi governor does not win?
So are you compensating him with a 10 billion naira?
It's really cause for concern. But moving to a more celebratory note, we read in the papers this morning that the first female fighter pilot has been ranked, and a cause for celebration. Not too long ago, yesterday, we celebrated rural women, just women generally.
Definitely.
And now a female or a woman or a girl child has attained this.
And then just last week we celebrated Girl Child Day.
Yes.
So
and
you can imagine.
It's really, it shows that our women or our girl child
are not just laid back.
They are out and doing what, and now we can actually say yes. We can actually say what a man can do.
A woman can do even better.
I would not agree better, but a woman can do also.
Okay, so
moving on. We also noticed that the governor of Bayelsa, Seraki
Seraki
Dixon,
Dixon
made some very new appointments. Now, the Bayelsa also is a state in transition with that
November
election
16th
coming up again. Now, making this appointment at this time.
You know, Bayelsa State and Kogi State, these two states, they call for serious attention, if you ask me. Because, okay, just recently, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly in Bayelsa was impeached.
Yes.
A new one came out, emerged.
Yeah.
And now, the governor is appointing over 60 people. And you're about leaving this place. So, of what use?
Now,
is he implanting his people in there before leaving?
Or is he incurring more expenses for the next
new
government? Because if the new government comes into power, you are about leaving. Is the new government, does the new government need these people you are employing? If they do, then let them come and make this appointment themselves.
I think this thing is not just particular to Bayelsa State.
It happens.
It happens
yes.
all across the country.
And I think a check, we should, the state or the federal government, all our legislatures should put a check to this matter.
An outgoing governor doesn't have to incur debts for an incoming government. Making new appointments
and incur debts that the new government will come in. And that's why every new government comes and says, we had backlog.
Definitely, and the fact that there are other debts that you're leaving behind for them, and then you are actually appointing newer people. What if these people are not even, they are not needed right now?
I think our legislature, this is where they should come in and lend their voice and say no to these practices. And definitely. I believe that once we start with one, the trend will flow to the other.
Then moving on to the Oshomole-Obaseki feud.
I thought these folks had reconciled their differences, but it seemed like
they are overstretching this whole thing.
And one would wonder that they are the ruling party,
yes.
They are party leaders,
yes.
They are representative of an entity.
You see, this is still more like what we're saying, the past governor and then the new governor.
The governor.
There's always this tussle between both.
So I think, in my opinion, they should bury their differences, and what is good for Edo should be at the forefront.
Definitely,
the people
of
Edo should be put at the forefront, and not two people whose egos or political interests are being played.
And then to think that both of them come from the same party,
it cause for concern also.
Moving forward to Labour, Chris Ngige.
Today they called off, or they suspended their intention.
Because there are talks are still ongoing.
All right, I had said on this same platform earlier, that some time back, that sometimes one begins to worry if Labour is actually fighting for the people. There has not been any concrete statement from the federal government. Federal government says we are still talking.
They keep saying we're talking.
And the talks have lingered, and there hasn't been any room for implementation.
And this is just 30,000 naira.
Now, they are even saying that it's beyond the 30,000 naira. It is the 7% and the 12% implementation on all the other grade levels.
Definitely.
Although
some states have agreed to pay,
yes.
Some states have actually agreed to pay the 30,000 naira. Some even say starting from October they are going to start paying.
No, but with these arguments and these talks still going on, who wants to now go ahead and implement when the talks are not done yet? Because if you implement the 30,000,
because at the federal level you have to settle all of it before implementation.
So we're hoping that these talks will come to a conclusion sooner than later. Definitely. So that the Nigerian people will be the better for it.
Wow, we have so much to talk about on Daybreak, so much to talk about this morning. But Daybreak Africa continues shortly, where Chinwendu Osisiogo is on standby for business updates.
This is the business news on Television Nigerian. I'm Chinwendu Osisiogo. The federal government has spent the sum of 3.39 trillion naira within the first 6 months of this year to finance the 2019 budget. The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, gave the indication in Abuja on Monday during a public presentation of the 2020 budget, which was submitted by President Muhammad Buhari to a joint section of the National Assembly last week. According to the minister, when compared to the prorated amount of 4.58 trillion naira that should have been released during the 6-month period, the 3.39 trillion naira represented a performance of 76%. However, the Monday section was attended by Director General Budget of Office of Federation Ben Akabueze, Minister of State for Budget Climate Agba, Minister of Information Alhaji Lai Muhammad, and other top government officials and representatives of the civil society. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Sabo Nanono, on Monday said Nigeria was producing enough food to feed itself and send to neighboring countries. It described the cry by some Nigerians of hunger in the land as laughable. The minister, who spoke at the press briefing to mark the 2019 World Food Day in Abuja, said the country is producing enough to feed. According to him, food is very cheap in Nigeria compared to other countries. He also confirmed that the federal government decided to shut the borders owing to the excesses of neighboring countries that had made the country a dumping ground for expired rice and other goods. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has reported that a total of 70 million naira was repatriated from capital market fraud to investors in 2018. The chairman NSE, Abimbola Ogunbajo, made this known during the NSE annual general meeting. Ogunbajo explained that the repatriation was done in partnership with the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, and the move was part of efforts to ingrain sanity in the capital market as well as ensure economic and financial crime, and the NSA will continue to seek out corporate partnerships to maintain a fair and orderly market. The NSE had on October 4th, 2013 signed a memorandum of understanding with the EFCC to tackle market infractions and abuse. Meanwhile, the partnership had successfully opened direct lines of communications and information sharing with the EFCC for reporting and investigation of incidents leading to a more proactive law enforcement and swift recovery of stolen securities. And that's what we have for you today on TBN Business Updates. I'm Chiwende Ostisiago. Don't forget that successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Do have a fruitful day. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back. You're still on to Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Let's move over as our correspondent shows us or tells us the benefit or the health benefits of watermelon.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Healthy Living. I am Lillian Ambi. Today I'll be talking on the importance of watermelon. Watermelon is a delicious and refreshing fruit that is good for everybody. It contains only 46 calories per cup of a juice and it's high in vitamin C, vitamin A and many healthy plant compounds. Here are top 9 benefits of eating watermelon. Number 1, helps you hydrated. Drinking watermelon is an important way to keep your body hydrated. It contains 46 calories per cup of a juice, but it is high in vitamin C, vitamin A, and many health plants. Watermelon has a high water content. This makes it hydrating and helps you feel full. 2, contain nutrients and beneficial plant compounds. Watermelon is a low-calorie fruit, high in some nutrients, especially carotenoid, vitamin C, and cucurbitacin E. Thirdly, contain compounds that may help prevent cancer. Some compounds in watermelon, including lycopene, has been studied for their potentials to prevent cancer. Fourth, may improve your heart health. Watermelon has several heart-healthy components, including lycopene, citrulline, and other vitamins and minerals. Number 5, may lower inflammation and oxidative stress. Lycopene and vitamin C are anti-inflammatory antioxidants found in watermelon. Inflammation is linked to many chronic diseases. Number 6, may help prevent muscular degeneration. Lycopene may help keep eyes healthy and protect against age-related muscular degeneration, which is AMD, thanks to antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. 7, may help relieve muscle soreness. Watermelon juice has some potentials as a recovery beverage after exercise. Citrulline may be partially responsible for its effect of easing muscle soreness. 8, is good for skin and hair. Several nutrients in watermelon are good for your hair and skin. Some help keep the skin soft, while others protect against sunburn. 9, can improve digestion. Fiber and water are important for healthy digestion. Watermelon contains both of them. Hope you've taken a bite. If you have not, try and take one.
This is still Daybreak Africa on television Nigerian. So much about watermelon right there. If you haven't taken watermelon this morning, you should go get you some watermelon. Up next is newspaper review with Mr. Victor Tehemba in the studio.
And Victor Tehemba is in the studio. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning,
Victor.
Mr. Quest.
Good morning.
You are looking flamboyant.
As always, I want to be like you.
Don't be like me.
So, what's popping up on our dailies this morning?
Yeah, so today was supposed to be the strike, the planned strike by Labour. Yes, but we know that they were going to go into talks on the 15th, so we were quite positive that the strike is not going to happen and all of that. So the strike has been pushed to the background, and what has taken the forefront now is the 10.7 billion release approved
to be approved
for Kogi State. Now it has raised a lot of eyebrows, and then also on the backdrop of the video that came out from the villa, that the first lady was locked out of the villa. Yes, there were other issues, and then they discovered that the Mama Dara family, they are living in the villa, and then we are wondering that they don't hold any position.
Yes.
And they are still
Remember
living
yesterday I talked
You
about
mentioned
because
that.
I don't understand what Mama Dara's family is doing in the villa.
In the villa.
They're not part of the first family, so
I don't, but is related to the president, so the president might say, okay, let's come
Oh,
and
okay.
stay.
So
So
if I'm
it's
related
okay.
to the president
You
now,
can get
myself
an
and my family can
accommodation.
just go to
Yes,
the
if the
villa.
president wants you to be there, you can
I
be there.
see.
You know,
Okay.
but let's go straight to the Punch and see how much of the stories for today the Punch has captured. And the Punch said, screaming headline: Labour suspends planned strike. Talks continue today. Workers demand documents as federal government hikes salary adjustments. Lagos will pay more than 30,000 naira, says Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos. And that is all. You'll find all of this on page 2. Picture study there is that of the decoration of the first female pilots, the first female fighter pilots in Nigeria. You find full details of that on page 7. Below that, court hears Showori's prayer on tough bail terms Monday. That's on page 12. Zamfara plans capital punishment for Quran desecration. Details of that on page 45. It's shameful Daura controls presidential villa. This is from the Afenifere here. And that is on page 10. And in the Federal Capital Territory, 3 children abducted, 2 killed. Lawan meets Service Chief Minister on worsening insecurity. This story is contained on pages 12 and 19. El-Rufai presents Kaduna's 258 billion naira budget to Assembly. That's a huge lot, and you find it on page 18. And here's a special report, for a special report from the Senator Ali Ndume. He said, military's 847 Boko Haram victims buried in Borno Cemetery. This is Ali Ndume, who happens to be the chairman Senate Committee on the Army. Border closure pushed inflation to 11.2%. This is from the National Bureau of Statistics, and that is on page 27. 5 suits threaten federal government $62 billion recovery from IOCs, and that is on page 11. Buhari asks Senate to approve 10 billion naira for Kogi. Stories on page 19. International Monetary Fund recommends unified exchange rate for Nigeria. Full details on page 23. Just lastly, on the business side of the Punch newspaper, you have federal government's debt rises to 25.7 trillion naira, and we have about from the budget we have about 2.24 trillion naira
to
service debt. So if that actually happens, we still have a long way to go in paying our debt. Anyway, that's up on the front page of the Punch newspaper for today, and it's a whole lot.
I'm interested in the human angle story, especially with regards to labor.
Okay.
Not disregarding the screaming headline, but also paying attention to Lagos State Governor saying they will pay
Over 30,000.
more than 30,000 naira. It brings to mind what analysts were saying, that the 30,000 naira shouldn't have been across board, because there are some states that can afford to pay more. There are some states that can pay 30, and there are some states that cannot even afford to pay the 30. And so governors and Labour should have put that into consideration instead of insisting that everybody pays the ceiling of 30,000.
Yeah.
Considering also that even when it was 18,000, certain states were still owing several months of this minimum wage. So moving from 18,000 naira that you cannot pay to 30,000 naira that is even on the high side, I think it calls for concern. But also that usually I think that when Labour is making these decisions, their communications are not across board, and so that is why where Labour was able to push government into approving 30,000, and then suddenly we found that it was not just about 30,000 naira. There needed to be an implementation according to grade levels, and now we are back to the table having this conversation again. So since the strike has been put on hold and Labour is going into talks with the federal government, I think every I should be dotted and every T crossed, so that we don't have a reoccurrence, especially with regards to this minimum wage.
Yeah, definitely. Because Labour, I feel whenever there's disagreement between federal government and Labour, they keep threatening strike. And it's not
without paying attention to
that is just one of the instruments of pressure groups how to bring about it.
But I think in Nigeria, that is the only instrument that we know how to use.
As well, yeah. And maybe before to go for it, maybe I'll just have to maybe explain it or correct some of these things, some of the things that you said earlier. So the 30,000 naira minimum wage is not a cap. That is why it's called a minimum wage. So that is the least that any state should pay. Is expected to pay. So it's a national minimum wage. Those who can afford to pay more, you are allowed to pay more. Just like Lagos State is saying that we can pay more, and then we are going to pay more. So states like that can go ahead and pay more. But it's just saying that no company or state
it's more like a benchmark.
Should pay less than this. So even companies, even private businesses that are you have up to like 30, 50 staffs, you are expected to pay at least, the least of your paid staff should be 30,000 naira. Yes, so it's both it's
applicable to
both private and government. Government. And then when we move on, I think the only time I think the Labour got it wrong is 30,000 naira is not too much for this present Nigerian economy for workers in the civil service. But what I thought that they should have done was making sure that and the 80,000 naira minimum wage was being implemented. States were owing up to 10 months, 18 months. So we're like, you haven't gotten
so much so federal government had to bring bailout funds and all of that.
For some states and all of that. So I think that they should have been more concerned about those states owing minimum wage to pay minimum wage before now looking about increments of the whole minimum wage and that. Yes. And
okay, I think on a lighter note there, the female that was decorated, first female.
I don't think it's even on a lighter note. This is
a celebratory mode.
It's a celebratory mode, yeah. And then you could see like the first lady on the picture was like all smiles, like she must be really proud of herself.
Of course, it's a very historic moment.
Yes.
I can even see the smile on the face of the chief of air staff.
Yeah, like
it's an achievement not just for the efforts, but for a country like ours that has been advocating for gender inclusiveness. I think it's.
But why do I have a problem? Because I always think when they talk about this gender inclusiveness in issues, I always think that the problem with gender inclusiveness is because we are very concerned about gender inclusiveness instead of looking at capacity of things. I think that a lady who is capable cannot be stopped.
Which is what this has proven.
Yes.
I think it goes both ways.
But,
yes.
Before you seek for gender inclusion, that means you already have faith that the ladies, the women, can also do better.
So when they come, they should do better.
You know what I'm looking at is this: if we have like in a mix, we have like about 1 million people, and then we have like 600 because women are always more, and we have about 600,000 women. And if all these like 500,000 women are more competent, you'll find that they will occupy most of the positions that today.
I think the argument was that sometimes, despite their competence, they were still not given the need. That was why.
But I think these women have actually set the trailblazing in the Air Force. Yeah, and then you find more women coming out to be fighter pilots and all of that. And
it's a good one right there.
Yes. And I know you want to talk. You are itching to talk about the Kogi.
Definitely, I'd love to talk about that.
She's from Kogi.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like you actually observed, yes. So a lot of people are looking like this 10 billion naira is coming at the eve of an election that is going to hold in about a month.
Because if you ask me, I feel if Kogi State were to be a PDP state,
would this have happened?
This 10 billion naira be coming
that's
before
a big
election?
If you look at even before the primaries of this same election I'm talking about, funds were also released to these same states that they were able to pay less than salaries in arrears and yes and all of that
and score some marks.
Yeah, and score some marks.
The amount involved is huge.
10 billion naira. Yes, like you just say this amount of money, and then as a Nigerian, you'll be like, this money is 10 billion. Just like that.
And then sometimes when there are issues, more pressing issues, we say we need to borrow. So we don't know. Well,
so moving on to
the next paper.
The next paper this morning, it's the blueprint. The screaming headline here is Defense Minister on Insecurity. Military lacks modern weapons personnel. Tambuwal, Masari, Matawale seek adequate funding. Others. You can find full details of this story on page 6 of the blueprint. And the picture story here is we actually have two picture stories here. The first one is the Chairman House Committee on Information Ethics and Value, Honorable Olusegun Odebumi, Minister of Interior Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Katsina State Governor Alhaji Aminu Bello Masari, Zamfara State Governor Alhaji Bello Matawale, then Sokoto State Governor Alhaji Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, and Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, retired, during a special town hall meeting on security in Katsina on Tuesday. That was yesterday. Lots of governors there. Well, it calls for, since it's security challenge, it calls for that. And then the next picture story here is Yobe State Governor May Malabuni standing and addressing the people Gaydam town during a town hall meeting in Gaydam town on Monday. That's another governor right there. And then just beneath that, constitutional legal amendments alone can't solve polls challenges. INEC chair. You can find full details of this story on page 6 of the blueprint this morning. And border closure, opportunity for local farmers to build capacity. This is the expert saying that. You can find full details of that on page 9. And capital punishment law on Quran desecration underway, Matawali, page 15. Well, that's actually a scary one right there. You can find full details of that on page 15. And gunmen abduct 3 kids, killed 2 in Abuja. That's appalling. It's a sad one there. You can find full details of that on page 18. Kogi West elders' decision on Bello best for Kogites. Still on Kogi State, Kogi elections. You can find full details of that story on page 5 of the blueprint. And then just above the screaming headline there, we have 173 more Nigerians returned from Libya. You can find full details of this story on page 15. A lot of returnees, people keep coming in from other countries. We need to learn to stay in our country.
We need to fix our country and learn to stay
Definitely. And then we have another story, Zionist Federation to launch Biafran currency December 15th. You can find full details of this on page 26. That's a story on IPOL.
Yeah.
Okay. Then January to December budget cycle will bolster investors' confidence. That's federal government saying that on page 33 of the blueprint this morning. Minimum wage palaver, federal government to review political office holders' salaries. I think most of our dailies this morning, there are major headlines. They are talking about the minimum wage and then Kogi elections and okay. Another one that calls for concern is this whole gunmen abduct 3 kids, killed 2 in Abuja. You know, yesterday we talked about abduction again, yes. And today another one. So I don't understand. What's the way forward for our security operatives?
And you see the screaming headline there also says that the military says they don't have modern weapons and personnel. So
if they are combating terrorism
and insecurity generally,
how come they don't have modern weapons and personnel?
And maybe that's the reason why we're still always having recurrence of these issues, because if our security architecture lacks the weapons and the personnel to handle it, and our criminals are not sleeping, then you would always have these things coming up.
Like whenever they have these arrests, when they arrest most of these Boko Haram insurgents, you see the weapons they seize from them. And you're now wondering, how did these people get access to all of these sophisticated weapons? And yet, the military men or the soldiers who are expected to have these modern weapons to fight them
are now saying they don't
have them.
And I think that is why recent they were requesting for $1 billion to acquire arms, ammunition, weapons for the army. And it just happened that a week after that was made, I was with the spokesperson of the Nigerian Army, Colonel Sagir Musa, and I just had to ask, like, it seems like it's about every 3 months or thereabout they release $1 billion to acquire arms. Why are they getting? And then he told me that there's no army in the world that has the equipment that they actually want. And like in the case of Nigeria, this is what it happened, that they lacked the modern equipment that they would use to fight this. And I think it just goes there.
Well, I think the budget, the 2020 budget covers for that. If I'm not mistaken, over or close to 100 billion is dedicated
I don't think it would be enough, because the defense ministry alone has 100 billion, and then when you look at overhead cost and all of that, I don't think it might be enough. So the $1 billion that they're going to require will be a separate loan.
So what you're saying now is that maybe during the defense of the budget, so they could probably add some more.
I think the president will have to write separately to the Senate to approve a loan of $1 billion for that. But it hasn't been discussed yet. It was still a request, and I don't think they are yet considering whether to approve it or not.
And then still this border closure opportunity for local farmers to build capacity. You remember we talked about it yesterday.
Yes. I think I agree partially that if we are transparent about the implementation of the border closure, then we can look inwards and begin to encourage people to go out and get what we can on it, except for the challenge of exporting
that are grown in Nigeria.
And then today being World Food Day, they were discouraging people from eating processed foods and unhealthy food. So it will encourage our farmers to go back to work, and also for government to pay more attention to agriculture. Okay, for the sake of time, I think we'll take one last paper, the Nigerian pilot. The screaming headline for the Nigerian pilot this morning declares Senator Buhari declares state of emergency on roads. Interesting. And below that you have, as Nigerians loses 1 trillion naira yearly to bad roads. FEMA is the one saying that. Canvasses rail transport for heavy duty bulk haulage. Probes launch on non-remittance of 5% usage to FEMA. You can find that on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot. And then the picture headline here is still on the female pilot being decorated, female fighter jet pilots being decorated. And then, like in the other papers, kidnappers again kill 2 adopted children in Abuja. And then below that you have Igbos not fairly treated. This is credited to Peter Obi, vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, says that. You can find details on page 13 of the Nigerian pilot. Buhari begged Senate to approve 10 billion naira refund for Kogi. We talked about that earlier, but you can find details on page 5. Also on page 5, the Nigerian Air Force, 55 years after, Nigerian Air Force wins 2 first female fighter combat helicopter pilots. I think this information is enlightening. It's just not one, but in 55 years, which is what we talked about, gender inclusion. In 55 years, we've just had 2 female fighter pilots.
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. A drop in the ocean, but it's a drop in any way.
I think other females would look up to this.
There will definitely be an inspiration to other ladies.
Definitely.
All right, so on page 40 you find the story. Nigeria loses 99 million naira to currency counterfeiting. Brings us back to technology. Now, above the screaming headline, herdsmen amputate female farmer's hand in Benue. Details on page 8. Families at war in Asu Rock Villa. Presidency disorganized, says PDP. Find details of that on page 8.
So back to that Mamandara story.
I don't think
families at war.
I think we are basically done with it. And
but interesting. Apart from, we'll get to the headline, the screaming headline. But I thought we're not done and dusted, but we're
Food Day is a day of action dedicated to tackling global hunger. Held annually on 16th October, people from around the world come together to declare their commitment to eradicate worldwide hunger from our lifetime. Celebrating the creation of the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, events are organized in over 150 countries across the world, making it one of the most celebrated days of the UN calendar. These events promote worldwide awareness and action for those who suffer from hunger and for the need to ensure food security and nutritious diets for all. The focus of the day is that food is a basic and fundamental human right. Yet in a world of billions, over 820 million people worldwide suffering chronic undernourishment, 60 women and almost 5 million children under the age of 5 die of malnutrition-related causes every day. It's also important to note that while millions go hungry, 672 million people suffer from obesity and a further 1.3 billion are overweight.
And today, this morning, to help us look at the celebration of the World Food Day, we have with us a very interesting guest. Her name is Bashal T. Temitope. I hope I pronounced that correct. Bushra Temitope Balogun. She's an advocate for social development and women inclusion in politics. She's a girl child activist and a foodie.
That's the most interesting
the
part.
interesting part. She's
enthusiast.
Yes. I don't want to use English to cover. She's a foodie.
Thank you so much for joining us this
Thank
morning.
you for having me here.
Please correct me again. What's Bush?
Bushra is actually an Arabic name.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, it means good tidings. So I bring you good tidings this morning.
But you didn't bring food.
So don't worry, I have to get ourselves sorted after the question.
Right.
Okay, so World Food Day, though annually celebrated, how has it been able to impact positively on the lives of people?
Well, I think food issue is not something that's actually emphasized, something we have to talk about every day because we need food. Food is a basic and fundamental human right. You need food to survive, you need food to keep up, you need to stay healthy and be fit.
Yes.
And this day has actually been set aside to actually raise awareness on tackling world hunger, and also improve nutrition, improve agri-productivity. And over the years, we've seen efforts have been made, impacts have been made on how to actually boost food production and improve healthy living. But well, the efforts that have been put in so far hasn't done so much, so to say, because we still have issues of hunger everywhere. Like you said, about 800-something million people around the world are suffering from hunger, and and the number of the people that are actually suffering from obesity is even quite alarming. So I think this day, the essence of this day is now to actually raise so much awareness, just to provide sustainable solutions on how to tackle these issues we're having.
Okay, so speaking of preferring sustainable solutions, so what are the efficient ways? To provide these solutions?
Okay, going by the theme for this year, which says healthy diets.
Yes.
Diet zero hunger world. We could say there's been so much discussion around boosting food agriculture, food productivity through agriculture. At least that has been seen around people. We're actually advising people to go into agriculture to actually boost food production, and that is really happening. Because at least we could say to an extent, actually we've seen some improvement in that area. But now I think we have to bring it down to how we consume the food we even produce and the kind of food we consume.
Definitely.
Because okay, fine, we consume this food. The essence of the food we consume is to actually keep us healthy, to help us grow. Because your body food is like the fuel of the body, keep the body running. You have to stay healthy, you have to repair the body. So even when you have all this food available, you still have to educate the people on
Speaking of what
eat.
you're consuming, just yesterday NAFDAC talked about banning processed foods.
Thank you. Yeah. So, well, given that fact, now we have to look at, let's look at the context of the urban area. Fine, you have a lot of people moving towards the urban area now, probably due to probably job issues, reasons and all, greener pastures, thank you. And we find that in urban area, people diets are changing. People are moving from the seasonal, plant-based, fiber-based food to the ready-made food, grab as a go food, rely on restaurants, rely on snacks. And it's so interesting that these food are not just the fact not just the fact that you don't even know the conditions under which this food has been prepared, if it's actually deplorable, of course we have germs in there and all this food, this food could be contaminated, which has an adverse effect on our health. Also interested to know that a lot of these things all of these things we are eating are probably most of them are really chemically based and probably processed, their salt processed, their
preservation,
their preservative, their fat processed and all these things accumulate in the body. And considering our sedimentary lifestyle of you go to work every day, morning to night, you're sitting, you're not shedding weight, you're not burning, you keep stocking up the fat, and you tell me, okay, definitely you have obesity issues everywhere. And another thing is for children now, we like to indulge our kids. You want to give them these, of course they have sweet.
Yes, some children they love chocolate, so you just want to give them. Even adults want to indulge ourselves. You have all the fast food, and due to globalization as well, you have all the pizza, all the snacks you have around. Don't enjoy yourself. But at the same time, we still have to advise people on eating more of this seasonal and plant-based and fiber food, because at the end it still falls back to the fact that all these things it doesn't promote healthy living. Definitely. Because it protects the danger of diseases and diabetes, heart diseases, bowel cancer and all. Obesity.
Obesity. There's so much around issue of food and all.
So it's basically beyond just eating.
Yeah, thank you. So it's beyond producing the food.
Yes,
it's beyond producing the food, consuming the food, and also eating right.
Thank you.
You should be mindful of what you're putting
you have to know the right proportion of food to eat, the right proportion of carbohydrate, the right proportion of protein. That's why you even advise people to see nutritionists.
Yes.
Yeah, go to dietitian. Let them advise you on how to actually manage your meals and what to consume, because it helps a lot.
Wow, that's interesting already. Let's take this short break. We're still on to Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria, as our correspondent gives us an insight on the celebration of World Food Day.
Celebrated every 16 October each year, the World Food Day is a day set aside by the United Nations to tackle and eradicate global hunger. The day is aimed at promoting worldwide awareness and action for those who suffer from hunger and for the need to ensure food security and nutritious diet for all. However, in the world of billions, reports indicate that over 820 million people worldwide suffer chronic undernourishment, 60% women and almost 5 million children under the age of 5 die of malnutrition-related causes every day. Since its early years of existence, the United Nations has made tackling hunger and malnutrition one of its key priorities by helping small farmers produce more, provide emergency food rations in humanitarian crises, end malnutrition, focus on local economic systems, develop vulnerability projections and analysis, empower rural women and girls, raise awareness and galvanize change. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark this year's International Food Day, it is pertinent to note that, based on the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, much is left to be desired, as current government policies and programs are far from ending hunger, even as the country is the headquarters of poverty.
People are hungry everywhere. It's not because food is not there, it's just that basically we have this issue that from time we have relied on external, importation of goods, food and things like that, because we've done nothing about our situation, Though presently now, I believe the policies on ground it's not even helping. Yes, the government now wants us to start producing our own foods. But before you put something in place, or before you remove something, you must put something in place. What we have is not sufficient. Presently now, how can it be sufficient? How can farmers do much when we are having issues of herdsmen on them? Where would the food come from? Is it not from the farms? Now herdsmen are taking over. Maybe at the end, all of us will be eating just meat. No, it's terrible. You see, there are things in this government that it will never allow food to be sufficient. That's a big problem. Now farmers are afraid to go to their farms. Nothing security agency are really doing about the herdsmen, because there is this politics about it.
The Minister for Agriculture and Rural Development, Sabona Nono, at a news conference as part of activities to mark the 2019 World Food Day, said Nigeria was producing enough food to feed itself and send to neighboring countries. However, the Nigerian agricultural sector, which produces food for the country, is not receiving the needed government attention. The sector faces many challenges, notably an outdated land tenure system that constrains access to land, a low level of irrigation development, limited adoption of research findings and technologies, high cost of farm input, poor access to credit, inefficient fertilizer procurement and distribution, inadequate storage facilities and poor access to market, farmer headers crisis have all combined to keep agricultural productivity low with high post-harvest losses and waste. This fact underscores the immense challenge to achieving the zero hunger target of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
The common commodity in the market, you cannot afford to buy it. So why do we have to celebrate it in the first place? The blockage of the border, it now attracts more hardship to our people. When you go around the 36 states, where you use peanut to buy, today you must have 1,000 naira upward before you have it. So why do we have to celebrate it? No need of celebrating it. If you can't feed your people, you are exporting food outside. What is the answer? If you say that you want to block the border for we to farm in our country without giving the average Nigerian support, like you give them money, loan, that they can pay after 10 years, not something you give them going around giving 5,000, 10,000 naira. How can you feed a nation with 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira? The government should bring out a program. Those that are willing to farm, there is abandoned land, nobody is there. We have big mega companies in Nigeria that they can feed Nigeria within 6 months. They should start from that side before the average man can join them. So food sufficient, zero in Nigeria.
Just go to a nearby environs here. People are feeling hungry, and there's land for them to cultivate. But if you go to land, we can't be using that old methods of agriculture and tilling the land with this thing. We need mechanization, agricultural mechanization, like tractors, harvesters, and all those things. It can encourage youth who are coming out from school, to engage themselves in agriculture and forget about all this, office work. You understand?
In the words of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a world of plenty, 1 person in 9 does not have enough food to eat. And in line with the 2019 theme, our actions are our future. There is need for Nigeria to intensify efforts in meeting the United Nations 2030 SDG goals of ending hunger by investing and making agriculture lucrative to its teeming youth. Samuel Akpan, TVN News.
Welcome back. It's still Daybreak on Television Nigeria, and our guest is still in the studio, and our conversation continues as we celebrate World Food Day. Now, my question is, while we're discussing earlier, I asked this question: can we really stop hunger in a country, in the world, but emphasis on Nigeria as a country? Can we stop hunger completely in a country like Nigeria?
Well, it's actually a gradual process, not something you can really achieve in a day, achieve at once. That's why I think there's been so much discussed around people going into agriculture, and we actually encourage people to actually even just little home farming, the thing that could really help. You don't have to wait till you have so much, maybe large resources, but just create a space in your compound, maybe plant vegetables, plant tomatoes and all. At least you're sure of what you're eating. These things are organic, you made them yourself, and all it takes your time is just go. It's even cheaper, it saves you more. Just go there, pluck it, and I know at least you're sure of what it's safe. And aside that too, it also actually has some good effect of actually on the issue of climate change and all. Some of these plants you actually cultivate help actually eradicate greenhouse gases in the air, and it actually has, at the end of the day, I think it's a lot of benefit to us ourselves. We can actually make our time for agriculture, even just little lives, just small scale farming within the house.
And when we're listening to the report, one of the people that was being interviewed said government this, government that, and from what you're saying, it goes beyond government. If you start a garden in your backyard, you start a garden where you plant 1 or 2 things that you are sure of where it's being processed. In as much as I do not completely disagree that government needs to do something, but we should first of all take responsibility for what we're eating. Okay, now my next question is it about the quantity of food? Should we just eat for eating's sake, or just to fill our systems, or we eat healthy to stay healthy?
Well, okay, let me bring it back home to Nigeria. I think we have this idea of make my belly full. Yes, let me just there. I just need to eat. I just need to feed.
There's always that attitude.
Thank you. Let me just eat and listen. Before my tummy is full, I have the energy and
to
strength
move on.
No wala. But we can't really negate the fact that the quality of food is actually very, very prominent, because they need food to go around. And you need to have even distribution. At the same time, the quality of food you eat matters a lot, because we are so, like I said, we are so used to this junk food these days. We're so being carried away, but probably by globalization or probably urbanization and its effects, westernization and all, that we actually these days we don't even really care about what we eat anymore, and we're related too much to junks. For me, I think I'm still very particular about the fact that we don't really eat healthy. Yes, even few people that they have the money, you have the income, you have everything, you have the resources. By the time you just feel no, okay, instead of me making my food, we spend less time on making our meals these days. Instead of me making my food, I would rather just go out. Okay, there's a restaurant here, there's a grab to go food there. Let me go and eat there. And then every day, all these things they're eating, they just build up calories in your body, and you don't even know. Like I said, we have a sedimentary lifestyle. You go to work from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. You're sitting. You don't really have time. Maybe evenings you're tired. You just want to rest. Weekend at times you have other engagement. A lot of people don't even make out time to even exercise. And it's actually exercise that makes you burn some of these calories. That's no matter how you don't have to. It doesn't really take much time at times. Probably just need to just set aside a few minutes a day to exercise and actually shed off some of these calories.
body bang, your 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 body bang. And I give us when you take a selfie, when you take a pose, you the ginger the body. Every time you bend the low, I'm okay when you take a selfie. When you take a photo, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend it low.
Want to shoot a dope music video at 50% discount?
50% discount?
Yeah, 50% discount. Bougie Down Television Nigerian with world-class equipment and a badass expert crew.
Okay, face your camera now. Shh. Continue.
Where was I? Everything extra.
Carolina, you bad.
Hurry up.
I know say you know this thing you did do, my girl, say you know. Your body is big and I know say you know.
Welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian. Moving on to our next segment is Fashion Book with Uchechi Lemowa. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Did she pronounce it correctly?
Yes. I think she tried better than you. Last time you didn't pronounce my name well.
Okay, so Uchechi, what are we talking about today?
Actually, I thought we were going to first of all, wish me happy World Food Day.
Okay, happy World Food Day.
Thank you very much. I was
my
even
famous
expecting.
Question: did you bring us food?
Yes.
I was expecting to see food on the table.
Has to bring food.
Seriously,
Definitely.
When I was expecting food on this table this morning.
Okay, she was expecting what we were expecting.
Oh, really?
That's okay. Today we are talking about blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
We know what I mean. Blonde hair.
So what's the trend about? What's the thing about blonde hair?
Blonde hair is a blonde hair. This style is a style that in the past people criticized. People who fancy blonde hair were criticized as slut, as wayward, and as other. But today it has become a fashion fad. A lot of people are loving it, even the celebrities. And including me.
I see your hair is grey and blonde and plenty other colors
but
mixed.
After this, I'm gonna
making
be
the blonde.
Definitely.
I look forward to seeing you on blonde hair.
Honestly, one thing with this blonde hair is that it stands you out from the crowd.
Definitely.
And basically, I love the natural blonde hair. Personally, I love the natural blonde hair and not actually the artificial one. The one that is in form of.
But we are Africans or we are Nigerians. Do we have people with blonde hair in Nigeria?
In Nigeria,
natural blonde hair, I mean.
Natural, definitely, but there are few people who have natural. They are born that way.
Okay.
But basically, is artificial.
I think
the white
the people you'd see more on blonde hair would be the people albinos.
Albinos.
Yeah.
No, I've actually seen a dark person with a blonde hair.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, with a golden hair.
Wow.
And it's
natural.
very definitely.
Wow,
and it's very beautiful. It's very, very fun. In fact, when I was a kid, I had a blonde hair.
Wow.
Oh, then what happened along the line?
Okay, what actually happened there was that I was not eating, the kind of food that I was supposed to be eating or whatever. So my hair was blonde. So, but today when I started eating those food like, African food, and my hair color changed to dark.
Okay, now I'm suspecting you. But
About
today's
what?
World Food Day, so go back to eating those things that kept your
So
hair
that your
blonde.
natural blonde hair
Blonde
can
will
come
come
back.
back. I think I would love to see your
Actually,
natural
no,
blonde hair.
I don't fancy it.
Oh, okay.
I really love people. When I spot people with blonde hair, I so muchly admire them.
Yeah,
but I don't really fancy
So
it.
what are the benefits for the people? Are there any benefits why people choose?
Yeah,
to
for the natural ones, like the short ones. If you look at Nina, if you have seen Nina recently, she has a short blonde hair. She colored her hair, and it makes it easy for you to. You don't need to go to salon, you don't need to comb your hair, you don't need to fix with and all that. So I think it's one of the
beyond
benefits.
the regular low cut.
And again, it gives you this evergreen feel.
Oh, okay.
You keep looking new every day. When you look at yourself, you're so confident. You're so comfortable with yourself. It gives you this good morning, ma.
Wow.
Another thing you said earlier, I think it makes you stand out.
Yeah.
Because if you see a lady rocking a blonde hair, you want to have a second look.
Yes.
Yeah.
Attention is drawn to
especially when the person is a dark person. Like the
yes.
white people, they think it's odd for a black person to have a blonde hair. But Nigerians, they don't care, especially the Nollywood stars. Everybody's rocking that style of hair.
Okay, I think you and Aisha can do blonde hair while I watch.
I will give it a try. I think.
Remember, blonde hair is not restricted to. It's not an exclusive reserve for ladies only.
Even the guys. The guys are rocking blonde hair with their beards. Like as you are right now, you can color
my
your
hair
beard.
will be my beard will be dark.
Yes,
my
you can actually do your beards grey and then your hair blonde.
Wow,
that's interesting.
That will look so. It will look so beautiful. Seriously,
okay,
we don't mind, having that experiment with you.
I won't try it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for enlightening us more on blonde hair.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is still Daybreak Africa. Up next is entertainment news with Priscilla Ajeshala. Well, we'll be right back after this break. Do stay with us.
Your body bang, bang, your body bang, 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 your body bang, your body bang. And I give us when you take a selfie, when you take a pose, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend the low, come on girl when you take a selfie. When you take a pose, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend it low.
Want to shoot a dope music video at 50% discount?
50% discount?
Yeah, 50% discount. Bougie Down to Television Nigerian with world-class equipment and a badass expert crew.
Oga, face your camera now. Shh. Continue.
Where was I? Everything extra.
Carolina, you bad.
Hurry up.
I know say you know this thing you did do, my girl, say you know. Your body is big and I know say you know.
Welcome back. We're still on to Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria, and with us is Priscilla Ajeshola to take us into the world of entertainment. Welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you very much.
So what's in the news?
Good morning, Priscilla.
Happy World Food Day.
Yeah, happy World Food Day.
Yes.
I have good news for you, Priscilla. I saw somebody that you are fatter than.
That is such good news.
And you need to eat more.
Don't tell me that. Now let me get into my entertainment news. What the hell? Alright, so let's get right into it. So yesterday, Nigerians were stunned, astonished, confused when Bobrisky posted on Instagram that he's having menstrual cramps. It was crazy. People were like, what? What is he saying? Like, what the hell?
I had the same reaction when I saw that.
Personally, but I feel like before now, Bobrisky has been saying he's a cross-dresser, right? He's not transgender. So what is he trying to tell us now that he's not transgender? I don't understand.
No, I feel Bobrisky likes attention.
Okay, so that's just what
that's
it's
just
all
what
for
he does.
clout.
Yeah. He's a clout chaser. He chases clouds a lot. So that's just what it's all about. And he shouldn't be taken seriously.
Okay, but honestly, menstruation is something that's part of a woman's body, like makeup and everything. And I feel like he's making it sound like a stupid thing when he's a freaking man. Like, there's nothing female about Bobrisky except for the things he has done to himself. So there are things that are, a part of a woman that he does not have and he cannot do. So when he now makes light of menstruation by saying, it's just confusing. And some people were actually I feel like sometimes Nigerians, we can be a little bit gullible. Some people are actually like, sorry, my dear, and stuff like that.
That's why I said nobody should take him seriously.
And I think also that sometimes issues like this should not be, just like you said, are not issues to play with.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that he's seeking attention, how does it feel, or how does it sound if... Now I'm confused. Should I call him a man?
Yeah.
If a man is making jokes of such sensitive issues that women deal with on a monthly basis.
Honestly, I feel like sometimes when people start, they don't know when to stop. And I think that's the thing with Bobrisky.
Definitely. He doesn't know when to stop.
Because recently he entered into a female toilet. Now he's doing this. I feel like right now Bobrisky, he's on my radar. Like me, let me go to my next story. Alright, so moving on to our very next story is all things Simi. So recently Simi performed at the Nigerian German embassy and it was lit and amazing. But Nigerians spotted that her tummy was protruding and we began to guess that might be a baby bump. Although on Instagram she tried to make into a joke and everything, but Nigerians are convinced that Simi is pregnant. So yeah, this whole thing with Simi, and she
actually made a track, mind your business, Simi is not pregnant. Exactly. But then the pictures are saying something else.
Exactly.
But we should also actually mind our business.
What?
If she's
We
pregnant,
can't mind our business.
She's
in our faces.
Exactly.
She's a celebrity. We can't mind our businesses.
We cannot.
Her business is
our business. Exactly.
So if she say mind your business, she means mind
our business. It's our business, and we'll continue minding it as long as we can.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think we should be telling her congratulations.
But from those pictures, I think she's definitely pregnant.
Okay. The thing is, I don't believe it's just her tummy protruding. She was like, when you try to solve
maybe she ate too much on that
and then Yemi Alade also made a joke about say that wearing a jumpsuit, you can't suck belay in a jumpsuit and all of that. She's pregnant.
Okay.
Well, Aisha said it. She's pregnant.
Yes. Simi is one of my faves, so she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. You heard it from her face. Alright, so yes, moving on to our very next story. So recently, yesterday in particular, there's a video of Regina Daniels and her husband Ned Nwoko having, a good time with Nigerian media personality and OAP Daddy Freeze. And in the video, they were actually sharing a lot about their relationship. They talked about meeting and how a lot of people have been saying that Ned Nwoko met Regina through her mother, but he said that they met, got married, and everything happened within 3 weeks. Regina also went on to say that she always knew that she would not be able to marry somebody her age because she's very stubborn, and the reason why Ned can handle her so well is because she respects him. So Regina and Ned Nwoko, honestly, they're a very cute couple. Like, I was watching those videos like, wow. And they asked her, what does she call him? And she was like, he's my baby. That was so cute.
Grandpa now
that should
baby.
be. He's my
Then he was like, I'm the youngest baby in town.
Whoa.
Honestly,
which
that's what he
means-
said.
Wait, Ned said he's the youngest.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I watched the video from start to finish, although there were just little clips of it all over on different blog sites. But I actually saw that he's actually quite an interesting person. Like, he was talking, he was very, and we actually found that he's actually a bookworm. He likes books and all of that, and and then eventually now the whole thing with him and Regina, a lot of people have had a lot to say about their relationship. So much has been said, but they're still waxing strong. We keep seeing them happy every day, posting all of these loved up pictures and videos and everything. So it begs the question, who is happy now?
They are laughing.
I think there are definitely relationship goals for a lot of people.
Yes, their
right?
relationship goes for a lot of people because they have kind of broken the barrier of what a typical couple should look like.
Okay.
And in some way, it at first I actually felt I was not having it, but now I'm becoming.
You're getting
I'm getting used to it. And I'm even beginning to see them as a cute couple. That's rare.
That's why I said their relationship goals.
I hope they're not inspiring you.
No, they're not. They're totally
to get married to.
No, that's not happening. Please stop. Let's not even do that. All right, let's move on to our very last story. That is our international story. So Kanye West recently just told Kim that she dresses too sexy for his liking, and according to him, the way she dresses affects him because he is her husband. But Kim was not having it. She said he built her up to be the way she is, to be sexy and have this big personality. So just because he's now on a journey becoming a Christian and everything, it doesn't mean that she is on that path with him. So yes, we all heard that Kanye West, his whole journey becoming a Christian and all of that, even saying he's going to release a gospel album and all of that. And then now, out of the blue, he's beginning to tell Kim that she dresses too sexy.
I think he's trying to change his wife.
I think that is not his responsibility to change his
Because
wife.
you met her that way, you liked her that way,
and encouraged her to stay that
way.
Exactly.
Then why are you trying to change her just because you're becoming?
I feel like in some way he's a hypocrite because honestly, Kim has been naked in Kanye West's video and he had no problem with it. So why is it just because he has found? Okay, let's say he has found the light. Let's say he has seen, okay, no, this is wrong, this is bad, this is not acceptable. But then he's not even trying to convince her; he's forcing it on her. I feel like it's not fair.
And I think he should also accept the fact that what he is going through is a process.
Exactly.
And he should rather encourage his wife to join him on the journey rather than imposing it on her.
Personally, I've seen Kim with a lot of long dresses recently. And
probably that is her
maybe that, in some kind of
you don't
way.
just ask someone to stop what they're used to
Suddenly,
doing.
Yeah, exactly.
This is something they've been doing for years.
Exactly. This is practically her life. Her lifestyle is her business. Her business is what she's all about.
And her body is even her business.
Exactly. And then you wake up one morning and then you're telling her you dress too sexy. And she was obviously not having it because she said it has been causing her anxiety, him saying things like that. Because according to her, before the Met Gala, like a day right before the Met Gala, he said he did not like the dress that she chose. And meanwhile, she had had that dress for 8 months and he knew about it. So, I feel like being insensitive when it comes to things like this, it just makes the person more rebellious.
Definitely.
That's true.
It makes the person feel like, oh, okay, so what is this?
I think since it's a process he's going through, he should just help his wife and encourage her, not impose or force, encourage her to join him on the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get more entertaining stories, just watch Push Spice Entertainment News. Give you the lowdown on everything that you need to know happening in the world of entertainment. So that's about it for entertainment news.
That's interesting. The stories were quite interesting.
And you will have to pay for that ad. We keep telling you.
It's not an ad.
You'll pay for the ad.
It is my business.
Priscilla, you pay for it.
Your business on our business.
Our producer is recording it. You will pay for the right.
Thank you so much, Priscilla Jeshala.
You're welcome.
So, this is still Daybreak Africa, and we've had so much talk. We've talked so much, and today we actually talked about World Food Day. And speaking of that, on that note, we're going to have to end today on a food note.
Yes.
Definitely. We've had so much entertaining stories on Daybreak Africa, but we're going to have to end on a food note. And this is the 5
a food that you should take note of while trying to eat healthy.
Today, World Food Day. So we'll be right here tomorrow morning, bright and early, to give you more stories, more interesting
infotainment.
On Daybreak Africa. I'm Aisha Salihu.
And I am Quest Alhundo. Have a beautiful day.
to south and east to west. Today we are going to be looking at 5 Nigerian delicacies made and eaten by different ethnic groups in Nigeria. Stay with me, I'll be right back in a minute. Believe me when I say this episode is so very tempting. What do you expect when you are talking about food, especially when you are hungry and your brain begins to play a trick on you, just like it is happening to me right now. But trust me, I know what to do at the end of this show. In the eastern part of Nigeria, there are various kinds of food. We have bitter leaf, we have okaza soup, and we have akwu ofa, known as banga soup. But today we are going to look at the most prominent foods eaten by Igbos, and that is ora soup and abacha. Let's have a look. Oh my gosh, ora soup or ofe ora, as popularly called by Igbo people, is one of the most delicious and popular soup made and eaten by Igbo people. This soup is so delicious, and as an Igbo girl, I can sell my birthright for this recipe. On the other hand, abacha, which is also known as African salad, is a product of cassava and another meal most popular among Igbos in Nigeria. This recipe is highly nutritious and can be enjoyed by everyone. Now, if you don't know abacha, just check out this video. There are different kinds of food eaten by Hausa people, and they range from tuwo shinkafa, tuwo dawa, and so on. But we will be looking at miyan kuka and masa. Miyan kuka is one of the most popular and simplest northern soups. It is made with dried fish using kuka leaves, which are usually sun-dried and grind into powder and serves as a thickener. This soup reminds me of ogbono soup, but with a darker green color. Miyan kuka is another case of not judging a soup by its color. On the other hand, masa is a very popular snack in the north, commonly sold on the street side. Masa doesn't taste really sweet, but is considerably healthier. Thing about most traditional foods of the northern people is that they have very rich and unique taste and lots of unique spices like Thai and Indian food, and most contain cereal including rice, millet and corn as main ingredients, which are all healthy. There is this stereotype about women from Akwa Ibom State that they are the best cook in Nigeria. This may sound a bit biased, but practically the stereotype is more like a fact. Afang soup is one dish that you will find commonly in many homes in Cross River and Akwa Ibom states of Nigeria. It is usually prepared with combination of vegetables, afang leaves and water leaves. Let's have a look. It is also known to be the richest and somewhat medicinal vegetable soup of the Effiks and Ibibios in Nigeria. Well, this is all I have for you today on this edition of Ask Live and Style. I must confess, this discussed various recipes make me appreciate being a Nigerian and Nigerian foods even more. It's been fun hanging out with you, and I will definitely see you again. Bye for now.